Hello, and welcome to the Diaries of Ordinary People, the podcast that brings you raw, unfiltered, and honest stories from everyday experiences. I'm your host, Ash, and each episode we dive into personal diaries and journals to uncover the heartfelt moments and challenges that connect us all. So, whether you're commuting, taking a break, or just winding down, join us as we explore real and authentic lives. This is the Diaries of Ordinary People. Hi Pete, how you doing?
Hey Ash, I'm doing good. I'm enjoying the space.
Good.
Thank you for having me here.
Nice, lovely to have you on. How have you been? What's kind of your past 12 months been like?
Past 12 months.
Yeah.
First thing that kind of springs to mind is a roller coaster, a mental roller coaster.
Yeah.
Past 12 months. Okay. I'm thinking back to the last kind of 3 months has been a real turbulent time. Out of nowhere, just suddenly life just got flipped upside down. And I feel like I've kind of come back out the other side and feel kind of grounded from it. I was like, yeah. Often storms can come into someone's life without you kind of realising it, out of nowhere, just suddenly, just as the weather, all of a sudden the storm will be on you, and then you've just got to kind of dig in deep, knowing that storm will pass as well.
Mm. So what's happened in the past 3 months?
Health springs to mind. When you go out of work from an injury, especially self-employed, bills are still coming at you, and then you've got no way of earning any money, but you're expected to kind of keep paying, and that then has a knock-on effect to your mental health, which then can put you sort of in a deeper hole. And then when you eventually do get back to work, you're paying for the last 2 months. Yes, it can be very tricky. Something that springs to mind then is by working on having a nest egg to fall back on for those times is essential. I never lived my life by that. It's always kind of like in the moment and planning for the future. But I'm working on my kind of financial side to try and to have 12 months already kind of set in the bank would be incredible, because then if you do suddenly have unforeseen injuries or something like that, then you can kind of strive for it. So like 12 months, because that's like the last 3 months that was really tricky.
Do you think you need 12 months of kind of...
I'm just thinking about your question, how's the last 12 months been? Yeah, so it felt like a roller coaster. Yeah. The beginning of the year, I'd say it was good, but I definitely feel like I'm in a real kind of transition period of my life. Yeah.
Transitioning from what?
My old self, that springs like, when I kind of just hear those words, what am I transitioning from? Yeah, my old self, my old kind of past programs, my old kind of like beliefs, false beliefs, shedding like sort of dead skin and sort of birthing the path to something new and a sort of richer life. It's facing fears.
You mentioned your older life there. What's your first memory?
My first memory?
Yeah.
My first memory that springs to mind is falling down the stairs in my baby walker. I remember the feeling of just this flight and then there was a wall at the bottom, and so I remember just kind of flying into the wall. I was completely fine because the baby walker kind of just hit the wall, but I remember just that feeling of just suddenly just being airborne and just falling down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that's impacted who you are today?
Yes, yeah, definitely. In a sense of growing up, I've got two other brothers. One brother's a year older than me, and I remember growing up with them, and they were all very sort of daredevils and always just trying to push things. And I would always be kind of looking at what they're about to do and be like, yeah, this doesn't look like the path I could see the dangers. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any passions? Like, what passions did you have when you were younger?
When I was younger, drawing. Loved animation, like cartoons has always been. I love the colours. I love the freedom that cartoons can bring. That anything's it's kind of limited to your imagination. In cartoons, anyone could be a superhero.
I like that.
Because it's true, isn't it? You can literally draw. You can create anything in that world.
Yeah. That's really nice. Are there any ones you've formed since your younger years, or anything that you've carried through to now?
How do you mean in my...
So like any of the passions, do you still draw? Do you still focus on cartoons?
No, I don't really draw as much as I used to. Because my passion now has moved into music. I did an A-level in animation, so I kind of got to that point where I just really loved cartoons. And so when I was studying that A-level, went to a few music festivals and seeing some DJs play, I was just like, whoa, what are these guys doing? And so that's become my new art form. Been doing music for the last 20 years. And it's funny, I did a gig the other day and they were asking me, so what are you feeling when you're mixing? You see, I can clearly see you're good at what you're doing. Like what are you thinking at that point? And I said, to be honest, I see music in colour. I see music in shapes. So when I'm listening to the beat, I can see these kind of like building blocks, and then I can see in the distance these other shapes that are kind of forming, and then I kind of morph them together. So it's almost like my upbringing of cartoons and love of colour and shapes has stuck in my mind. So now I can put music together in that art form.
Wow. Where do you see that going? Where do you see music going for you in the future?
Well, music is my ultimate passion and goal in life. Without music, for me it gets very dark if I haven't got music in my life. Hence why this last it's been a roller coaster for me the last few months. I'd say this last 12 months have been tricky. Saying actually last 3 years has been a tough one because I've been moved into a bigger studio, but it's just been all up in the air. So I haven't been doing music as much as I want to because it's been like studio building. And so not having that outlet is, that's been tough. So for me, music is my passion. I can definitely see some big stages calling, some big crowds, where I can kind of bring that the shape shifting of colours to dance floors.
How would you do that?
How would I do that?
Yeah.
Networking. For instance, I've decided to take on some bar work just to kind of put me in the right place. Because you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to be in the right place. And funny enough, that has been like one of my fears is like working on a bar. Like for years, I'm quite a shy person with like large groups, but then when I'm on stage I transform sort of into someone else. But I always kind of saw bar work as like, oh my god, that makes me feel very uncomfortable to kind of be sort of in a vulnerable position, trying to sort of remember drinks, drink orders. But funny enough, I'm really enjoying bar work. Yeah, I've just started a new job with that, but I did go on the bar, I think 2 years ago, and that was a challenge, that one. But this new job is easy. But when I first kind of took that kind of leap of like pushing my own personal kind of fear barriers, yeah. I remember the first day of walking down into town and seeing them advertising for bar staff, and I just had that gut instinct of like, this is what you need to do, even though everything else inside me is screaming, no, I don't want to be doing that. And I remember going the walk to the bar, and yeah, it's silly what the mind how it can play tricks on you. Yeah, just that kind of social anxiety is a strange one, because I find it's very important to be with people. If you're too isolated in this world, it can really cause havoc on your own sort of mental health. Because I've spent so many years in the music studio just by myself. Prior to that, many years just sort of doing animation, so very sort of isolated person. So yeah, that really did open some doors for just your own personal self-esteem and growth. I think it's very important. Yeah, and I feel by putting myself in that position, that will open the doors for my music career, or where I need to kind of be. Because like I said, I've been doing music for 20 years, and I personally feel what's holding me back is the networking of picking up the phone, just meeting people. Even though I know a lot of people in town, I've kind of got to know everyone, but it's kind of then utilising your network, which still is kind of, yeah. I find I always have these kind of, if I'm by myself for too long, I have this kind of weird social thing of picking up the phone, and then you just get stuck in your old habits. So talking about sort of the old self, it's time to kind of let that go, shed away the dead skin.
Is there anything you're scared about in that? Like in the near future with you more networking and such?
There's always, there's a good book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And in that, ultimately the bottom line to anyone's fear is that you can't handle it. That you will just like crumble and just won't be able to handle the situation. And there's a really good quote in that. It's just to kind of just remind yourself, I can handle it. You just say to yourself, I can handle it. And so, yeah, the answer to that question would be the fear of succeeding on a higher level and then having a complete like mental breakdown, or where you literally have to perform, but you're kind of like a shell of yourself. Which is silly on the flip side, because I've been in those positions many times of where you literally feel a shell of yourself, but the show has got to go on. And it always works out well in the end. It always does. Yeah.
Nice. You kind of were speaking about being a DJ quite a lot. Who do you kind of look up to in that DJ world? I don't know that much about it, but I think it's really interesting. I think it's always evolving and changing so fast.
Yeah.
Like, is there any one person in particular, or like a group of people that you're like, I enjoy the stuff they do, I kind of want to take parts of that and like make my own thing from that? Well,
going back to that festival where I first got the love for DJing, there's one guy in particular called Mauro Picotto. It's an Italian DJ.
Okay. And
I've never heard music like that before, which is techno. But at the time I was just like, whoa, what is this guy doing? It's just insanely good. It's just it's almost a whole other dimension, a whole other world. And yeah, going back to sort of the cartoon characters, at the time they kind of look like superheroes to me because they're like, I didn't understand what they're doing behind the decks. Now I do. I realise DJs aren't really doing that much. Like, it's all about the music you're playing and the selection. But yeah, at the time I thought, whoa, this is just like wizardry stuff they're doing.
What does it entail then, DJing?
The bottom line of DJing is picking the right track at the right time and taking your audience on a journey. So you could either like really kind of cater to the mood and then have 5 tracks that you want to steer them down the line, or give them a sound that they've never really heard before, that they didn't realise they was going to like, but now they really do enjoy it. But it's ultimately picking that right track at the right time. So when the one you play, the following track really makes sense to the crowd and how they're dancing, the energy levels and the mood. For instance, like you could have a track that you want to play next, and it might be quite an aggressive, a little bit more sort of darker tune, and you know, that's about to really sort of blow up and be perfect. But then all of a sudden, a fight could break out on the dance floor, and then if you play that, it's just going to add fuel to the sort of negative energy. So then you think, oh, I've got to flip it and do something calm, a bit more angelic to suddenly lighten up the mood. And then from there, then you can start steering it to another place. So yeah, keeping an eye on the crowd is fundamentals to DJing. And I suppose that's what gave the magic when I first saw those DJs back then, is they were creating these special moments where I thought they was like playing music live behind the decks, or doing some unworldly technique.
Is that a thing? Do people play live behind the decks? Is that a thing?
Yeah. I mean, I play lots of live music these days behind the decks.
Okay.
And funny enough, it is good. It is good playing some live stuff behind the decks, but I've recently been going back much more into the art of programming. The music is much more important than this kind of showmanship. Because I played in a band for 12 years. So when we quit the band, I really kind of missed the feeling of playing live music. Yes, I've incorporated a live show where I've got my DJ deck, so it's on a bodysuit, so I've got it on my arms, on a chest plate, and I've got the laptop screen on my face, which is designed for being a musician still, so then I can play guitar how I used to on stage. I mean, to make it kind of make more sense, when I quit the band, I decided to have my guitar behind the decks. But the feng shui just felt weird to stand playing the guitar with the equipment in front of me, because no one could see the guitar playing then. So I had a vision of, well, what about if I put some drum machines on the guitar? And I was like, oh, hang on, what about if I put it on the arms? So now I can move around on stage how a guitarist can. But it's interesting, I've been doing that now for 10 years. I can feel that is going to divide. So I feel I will still DJ from the bodysuit, but with all the synth setup that I've got now for a live show, that will kind of divide. And I'm thinking maybe getting a drummer, get a bass player, and actually have a proper band going, and then DJ. Yeah. That's what I'm kind of feeling.
Nice. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
What are your core values, Pete?
Okay, good. Let me just breathe on that for a sec.
Take as long as you need.
honesty really kind of come up. Honesty and loyalty.
Why?
I really respect people who let everything out on the table. Like, this is me, this is like, what you see is what you get. I love those characters who don't hold anything back. They let their dark side and their light side out at the same time. Because then you know there's no sort of hidden agendas. And especially if they're loyal at the same time, those type of people will have your back forever. And then you can trust them, and you know them for them. You know what buttons will kind of press, and what you accept them for who they are. Yeah, I think it's a really good quality for people who can just literally just be you with no false egos. Yeah, what other values? Yeah, I value family a lot. And family doesn't have to be your blood. Yeah, and extended family, again, they've got your back to the end of time. They know you. They will always be there for you when you need them. And sometimes you may not see certain family members for a period of time, but yeah, we're always there for each other. So I like to kind of see everyone who I sort of encounter to try and show them who I am just by being my true self and building connections, that just trying to link everyone around so it's all just form as one big family. For instance, I've lived in Hastings now for, I've been here on and off for 40 years, 40 now. And so I was born in Hastings and I lived in London for a bit and in Brighton. And so building a community that just become one big family is so, so important.
Where do you think your desire or your want for a community and family came from?
Well, that's definitely, my childhood. It's a big family. There's 6 of us, 6 siblings. And then my mum and dad says 8. We lived in a big house. And my friends used to always be there all the time. The door was open. We never had a lock on our door. People could just walk in whenever you wanted, which was a good thing and a bad thing because, you never had any time to yourself. Because as soon as one friend left, another one sort of rocked up. Yeah, and that the thing of extended family is definitely from that. There was 8 actual family members, but then the house was full with everyone else that sort of the town that came in. Yeah. So it definitely stems from that. We had a big 24-room house that was just a playground to sort of grow up in. And especially when you've got that many friends to play with all the time, hide and seek was amazing. Yeah, it's good times. And so, I feel like that's where it's strange, going back to the sort of early statement of me feeling very socially anxious, is because I've always had a lot of people around me. But I feel it comes then from living in that house. The world came to us. So I was always quite socially anxious about new people. If there's a new person that came into the group, if a friend brought another friend, I'd always feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's it's a new person. So it's very rare to sort of go out in town because, people came to us. So I feel like over the years, I've still been in that kind of bubble of, not really connecting with new people. or still feeling that kind of uncomfortableness with new people. Yeah.
Are you still in contact with any of your friends since you've been growing up?
We are not as much as I don't see them. Yeah, as much as we used to hang out.
Do you regret that?
It's one of those things that when you see him, it's not like a day has passed. You're still exactly the same. Yeah. Often, like New Year's resolutions, you kind of feel like, oh God, I really want to just spend more time with my friends, make more commitments. But as you get older, the responsibilities tend to, everyone just becomes so busy. Like growing up, the door was always open, and the only thing that we had to do was just to hang out and just enjoy each other's company and just mess around. So I do miss having a hub. Having a hub for the community is amazing, where people can just rock up and they know their mates are going to be there.
And what was your house the hub?
Yeah, it's definitely a hub, yeah. Yeah, hence why my music studio that I've been working on for the last 3 years, it's almost like I've hit a brick wall with that, and I'm not meant to be pursuing that by myself anymore. So yeah, I've had a sort of a revelation with some of my friends, and we're deciding to all kind of join forces on that and turn it back, like we'll turn it into a hub. So like how we had before, where musicians can just rock up and socialise, network, and just hang out and build that kind of family community. For me, it's definitely important to have a strong family unit around you. Yeah, because you're definitely stronger in numbers. It's nice to have that kind of just that kind of bond. And laughter is hugely therapeutic. It's really important too, especially if you're going through sort of a turbulent time. And I noticed one of my kind of addictions was talking to a friend about addictions, and I realised actually there's many forms of addictions that we're often not really aware of, and it's definitely like mental patterns or kind of false beliefs or stuff that you do on a daily basis can also be an addiction. And so for me, I've noticed an addiction to withdrawing from society. If I'm going through a tough period in life, I tend to withdraw, and then that actually makes it worse because I need kind of family around me to help. Kind of that laughter will kind of lift your spirit. But yeah, I tend to sort of isolate, and then that can then snowball and go into deeper isolation. Yeah. So I feel that kind of stems from my kind of past upbringing, really. Like whenever there was something traumatic at home, I used to kind of withdraw and I'd just go and hide in my kind of little cave that I built. So it's interesting, my studio recently, it's been like a cave. It's just like me in there. So I feel like it's very important to knock down some sort of old patterns and just kind of shine the mirror at yourself of what you're personally doing.
And what does the reflection look like?
The only thing I can think of is bloody damn sexy. Because it's also important not to take yourself too seriously. Like, I
True.
think, Yeah. And then now kind of like going deeper into that, there's a reflection of, I tend to mask a lot. And where I admire people that show their true self, I feel like I'm still not 100% being my true self, in a sense. I kind of mask when I'm vulnerable. I always like people to see me as a sort of healthy, strong, outgoing person. So I don't like people to see if I'm kind of feeling sad or vulnerable. And angry. Yeah, I always like to kind of keep myself kind of grounded and with it. Yeah. I always kind of find it's, for me, it looks like a negative trait when someone has outbursts and lose their self-control. I always kind of like to be perceived as being grounded. I suppose that's why I can tend to isolate, because if I'm going through a tough time, I'm like, yeah, I don't like people to see me in that way. Which that's something I've got to work on. Hence why going to the bar is good, because you've got to be in the public eye. Even if you're on your worst day, you've got to kind of show up. Which, yeah, that's kind of like being a fear for me. If you're suddenly feeling really vulnerable, but then you've got to be out there amongst it all.
What other fears do you have?
What other fears do I have? Snakes, funny enough. Never really held a snake. My brother had a pet snake. And it used to always be like they'd be passing it around the room. People have turned holding it.
Is this in your house?
Yeah.
When you were younger?
Well, no, we was on our teens.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a pet snake. And I never held it. Used to be like pretty freaked out. And then I remember it got away, it escaped, and he didn't see it for about a year. And I went to hang up my washing line on the radiator, and there it was, like, but in attack mode. It was up. It was up, and it's like tongue was coming out, and it was like looking very aggressive. And I was like, "Whoa!"
Very snaky.
Very, very snaky. I was like, "Oh, damn." So yeah, snakes tend to creep me out a bit. I'm okay with spiders. I know a few friends that are terrified of spiders. Yeah, I won't mention any names because they like to kind of keep their dignity. They
like to keep it under wraps.
Under wraps.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's under wraps. Yeah, but those type of phobias is common. Like moths, for instance. Like growing up, I used to be like really. I still am a little bit uncomfortable with like big moths when they come just fly and hit you on the head.
I've got a friend who's incredibly scared of moths.
Like, because they just got this irregular pattern that they're just manic when they come flying through the window, and you're like, whoa! Suddenly there's this beast just flying around.
Beast,
yeah, beast. But I'm talking like big moths. I'm not talking about the little ones. They're like the big ones that, yeah.
And when you say big, do you mean like an inch?
Yeah. Well, like the biggest like moth you can get in the UK. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Still kind of, yeah. Because they come so aggressive, and they just whack into the wall, and they whack into the light. I'm like, whoa, what the? Out of nowhere. Yeah.
Really messes up your feng shui.
Completely catches me off guard. But that's like, yeah, phobias of just like insects.
Yeah.
Anything else I'm scared of?
Like not on like a surface level, or anything you're like, ooh, that's actually quite a worry.
Yeah. In what way?
So like, for example, me, I am always scared that people are going to judge me.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether I am in the socially correct bit of the world, or the socially correct part of the room, or the socially not correct part of the room.
Yeah.
So I'm always scared that I'm being judged. And then I think that kind of links back to me not wanting to be alone. Right. And kind of like my fear of not having anyone around me and kind of not being part of the herd or the pack. So I think, I mean, on that level, like, is there anything else that you're like, oof, that's like a deep thing that you're quite scared of?
I'm not sure. I'm definitely there's a fear there of getting too close to people, even though there's a huge talk about family and connection. But there's because often also with family there also comes lots of turbulence and also can be lots of arguments because everyone's not going to be having a good day all the time, and so there's that kind of fear there of working in a team. I had this realization recently about the music career. It's actually working with people. I feel like someone is going to let you down or take advantage of you, or just that kind of conflict, and then it doesn't work out, and then you've invested a lot of time down that path. So hence why I've done a lot of working just by myself. Because I was in a band for 12 years, and that was a family band as well. So my brother, my sister, and my dad, and two of my friends. And that, I feel like I've been kind of scarred in the past of working too closely to people, because if it doesn't kind of work out, or it's like the arguments, I don't like it when things kind of like blow up. I always try and sort of diffuse arguments, or I don't like having to have that moment of when just having a quiet word. That's what I often call it, of if someone's upset you having to kind of call them aside and without any emotion, just to kind of share like that scenario made me feel in this way. And I always find human conflict is something I always try and avoid.
Where do you think that's come from?
Definitely childhood, because I think a lot of people have had tricky childhoods. They could relate. Whether it be arguments with parents, arguments with siblings. I've definitely seen like real kind of turbulent road growing up. So I never kind of want to see that outburst with other people. Which was kind of a good way of growing up, because then it did. I remember my nan telling me, if you've ever got a problem with someone, don't have it out of them there and then when all the emotions are really high, because you just put them fire to fire, and it's just making matters worse. Wait till everyone's calmed down and speak to them the next day about it, and it's normally you can resolve the matter much easier. But certainly when you've witnessed a lot of kind of domestic stuff, you kind of, you can be very guarded yourself.
Do you feel you're too guarded sometimes?
Possibly, yeah. I feel with me, I feel there's like a darkness inside of me that I'm often a bit scared of. That someone upsets me, that I'd kind of go way too far. Because I remember being sort of in my childhood, and like still to this day, if I lose my temper, it's like another side of me will just switch, and then there's no control over your body. Suddenly you're just in another place, and I never liked being in that place at all. I like to be able to stay calm and grounded, and then deal with the emotions in a more kind of mature way to be able to kind of like check your own ego first to kind of see, right, is what part am I playing in this kind of argument, and then just trying to talk with the other person about it. But yeah, there's a kind of because I grew up with a lot of sort of anger in the house, and so I kind of feel like it's embedded in my system. So I'm always that's definitely a fear of getting too close to people, that someone upset me and I would explode in a way that I wouldn't like. Because again, as I said earlier, I don't like being seen as out of control. I always think it's not a nice quality when someone's lost to that extent. I mean, it's only really might happen like once a year where I really lose my temper. But every time I'm like, whoa, like that was just way too far. And maybe that's why it kind of goes way too far, because I need to learn how to vent out sort of gentle aggression. Like if someone sort of upsets me, just because I'm always fearful of arguments, of like what that can turn into. I don't like when people go sort of neck to neck at each other. I kind of think it's not healthy. But then I will kind of withdraw, and then that could possibly be been suppressed, and then over a period of time, then I might suddenly blow up because it's been suppressed too much. Hence why music for me is so important as an outlet, because then I can often channel that frustration of life through the guitar, through singing. You can kind of let it out.
I agree. From a dancing perspective, I've always found that when I've danced, it really lets out lots of kind of bad energy, and it's been really healing. There's lots of, I haven't read lots. I've read a few books about it, and one of the books I've read is called "The Body Keeps the Score."
Okay, yeah.
And there's a really nice kind of, it's a chapter long, but there's nice sections within that chapter that are about how kind of physical exercise and then like specifically yoga and dancing are like really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
If someone has had like an issue in childhood trauma and such. And that also relates, then the next chapter is about music, or like sound, it's called. But how sounds can affect trauma, or like just younger things that happened in childhood, like events. It can be really powerful, and it can have a dramatic effect, and like kind of being really cathartic for people. I think from what you said earlier, there was lots of anger in your household growing up. I think it's no surprise that music has been such a forefrontal part of your life.
Yeah.
Kind of for the past 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I find music, it's a great healer for the mind, because for me, you just get lost in that world. Going back to seeing music as shapes and colours, everything will come to a standstill for me. And then in that moment of time, there's no worries of the world, you're just in another place. Yeah, and I think it's very, very rewarding to find anything like that in your life where everything just stops. Yeah, and then when you come back out of that, you just feel very rejuvenated, and you just feel alive in your soul. And then you just can't wait to kind of get back doing that again.
You mentioned something really interesting. You said there's like, when we were talking about anger, you said, and kind of like, you don't enjoy like having bust-ups with people. You said there's like a dark side of you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
I don't know if I want to go into the dark side. I feel like the dark side can also be a really good thing, though. Like when, if it's kind of go time and I kind of need that aggression in pursuing a passion, going to the gym, or that time when you don't really feel like doing it, if you tap into your dark side, you've got this aggressive energy that you can channel. And so for me, it's almost like being on the battlefield, sort of the warrior spirit, where it's also really nasty. Like, yeah, I like to show everyone love and create one big family in the world. But there's a part of me that's just really nasty, and I don't like that side directed in the wrong way. So if I can channel it in a healthy scenario, then yeah, that's been a force for light then, rather than force for evil. Because I think everyone on Earth is not good or bad. Everyone is just a raw energy. It's like fire; it can warm us up, and it can also burn your house down. So it's how you use it is a very important thing. And so, yeah, I think everyone's got a dark side to them. But yeah, sometimes when it comes up in a rage where it's triggered and sort of out of control and it's not vented in the right direction, yeah, I don't like that.
You mentioned evil. Do you believe in evil?
Yeah, I've been have this sort of real philosophical thought recently, because I've always been sort of believer in sort of angels and demons, of that there's kind of good energy and bad energy. Then I had this like thought: what if that energy is like electricity? Like, what if that energy is to draw on like the good from that? It lifts up your energy, so you're feeling good, you're feeling happy, and that's the electricity being poured into you, and you kind of see that as good. But then on the flip side, this energy needs to be replenished. So what if when you're feeling bad and all this bad stuff's happening in your life, it's because that energy is having to draw its energy back? And that's where people can see evil and bad, evil or good. But it's just like a feeling that I had recently. I thought, I wonder, like, because what I find fascinating is no one knows what's going on this planet. Like, no one. People's got theories. They've got
no clue whatsoever.
No one's got any idea. Unless, like, when you pass away, which I often find interesting about death, is like when my dad passed away like 4 years ago, we always had these conversations, and I suddenly had that realization, oh wow, he's actually experiencing what we've always been wondering, like, what are we doing here? Like, what's on the other side? Like, what's that kind of new thought of electricity, this energy that's not good or bad. It's just this energy force that will feed you when you need to be kind of lifted up, but then it will drain you because it needs energy back. So is that real? Is that what the devil and God is? It's just one energy force, which, yeah, I'm a very open-minded person. I'm always loving the idea of we're not the only species in the universe. I love the idea of there's got to be more life out there than just us. When you look how many stars and planets there are, you've got to think, wow, there's got to be more to what we're seeing. I love the idea of other dimensions. I believe anything is possible. But one thing I've definitely known for sure is grounding. As a human, certainly for mental health, if you can ground your energy into the earth, learn how to ground yourself, all material problems will dissolve. You can literally go through a storm. If you get yourself anchored, you can be amongst the waves that are crashing around you, but you will be solid. So learning how to ground yourself is very important.
If you're looking into the future, what do the next few years look like for you? In terms of work, DJing, where you live?
Let me think about that. I was going to say something really cheeky, but no, I'll say it. Over the next 3 years, I've got a feeling, everything I've been striving for over the last 10 years is going to suddenly really manifest and unlock.
And what is that?
2 shows. It's going to be a DJ show and a live music show. Because I've got my live setup that's ready to go now. I've got all of the hardware that I've been sort of manifesting over the last 10 years since I decided to do sort of a one-man band project. Hence when I was kind of split up the band, that was like 10 years ago. And I started playing live music over the decks. I feel it's got to a point now where I can separate it, and then my live rig for all the synths, that will become the live show. So the next 3 years, live performance is going to be key. I feel that's a fear. That's because I haven't sung live for quite a few years now, actually. Come up to maybe 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's quite a long time. But there's always these inner conflicts of the kind of the road of an artist. You kind of feel like for me, singing doesn't come naturally compared to DJing. I feel 100% in control of that. I find singing's a strange instrument to play. Like guitar, you can tune up the guitar, you can do some warm-up exercises, and you know when you strum that chord, it's going to be in tune if you've tuned it up. Where singing has always been a strange one, where sometimes I've gone to sing on stage and the sound that it's coming out is completely restricted, and often you don't know why it's doing that, because you can't really see what's going on in your throat with the instrument itself. So yeah, I feel like there's a few fears I need to face on that, and a few the old beliefs of that inner conflict of, am I pursuing the right path? Am I wasting my time on this? Should I stick to the curveball, which a lot of people kind of like say of like, I know your fastball, for instance, they say stick to the one thing that you're really good at and excel down that path. Which, yeah, I definitely hear there is truth in that.
What beliefs have changed for you recently? You keep talking about old beliefs.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of soul searching needed to be done on this next chapter in life. So I've just turned 40, There's definitely a belief there that once you hit your 40s, life is downhill. That's what I kind of like. There's a sense of, I really didn't like turning 40 because for me, I kind of felt like I should have been succeeded where I wanted to be in life in music in my 30s. And now I'm still on that cusp of trying to break through with an idea. So possibly there's a belief there that, life doesn't stop in your 40s.
Mm. Are you happy, Pete?
Am I happy? Oh, that's a good question. I'm happy right now. Yeah. Today, this present moment, I feel happy. I feel good. I feel healthy, and like that is for my 40 years of experience on this planet. Health is number one. If you haven't got your health, it's very hard to be happy. It's very hard to be happy when you've got pain in your body somewhere that is just constantly there. I've had quite a few different chronic injuries. And it's really hard. It's very draining when you kind of wake up and you've got to drag this pain around. So that can make you feel unhappy, for me personally. So right now, I'm happy because I'm not in pain. That's always a blessing.
Have your views on happiness changed as you've grown up?
They've definitely evolved. Trying to think back when I was a little kid, what made me happy back then. Cartoons and eating sweets made me happy. So, So it hasn't really changed because pursuing what you love is what makes me really happy. So for me, when I'm in my studio and I'm playing music and I'm performing to people, that makes me happy. And so that is me watching cartoons and eating sweets. That's kind of my... So it hasn't really changed. I feel when you're very much in contact with your inner child, that is your real path to happiness. Just kind of staying young and being sort of light-hearted. That is when I kind of feel happy, I feel very childlike again. Like I love playing pranks on the building site to people, but then that starts backfiring because suddenly you see everyone with daggers. They're like, right, I'm going to get you. But then, I kind of like that childlike approach. It's kind of fun, fun and games.
And if you're looking at your inner child now, what's he doing? Is he eating sweets and watching cartoons, or is he DJing in front of millions or thousands of people?
He would be eating sweets and watching cartoons while holding an action figure. That would be, I just loved like action figures when I was a kid. For Christmas, I used to love, open it and you kind of see the packaging and, So that's what he'd be doing. But my older self, wants to bring that sort of childlike energy to the dance floors. Yeah, hence why I love to see music in colour and shapes. Then you can often kind of manifest and bring that shape into the crowd.
Mm.
Yeah.
You've been using the term manifest quite a lot.
Okay, yeah.
What else do you manifest? Like, what does it mean?
Manifestation is so basically the law of attraction, where we tap into a frequency and we attract the stuff that we're desiring into our life. For instance, any piece of music equipment that I have in the studio has all come from manifestation of researching online, looking at all the new features, and then you kind of imagine in your head playing it, and then you kind of test it in a shop, and then it's that thing of you just really fall in love with something, and then you bring it into your life. Because people are manifesting all the time, from the clothes they wear to the cars they drive to the laptops they use. It's all manifestation. But if you're conscious about manifestation, it becomes very, very powerful. For instance, I was watching Glastonbury the other day, and Dua Lipa was headlining, and she said how she manifested playing on Glastonbury. Every night she'd kind of write in her journal, and she visualised herself playing to that many people on that stage. So it's all like, it's visualisation. You see it in your mind. You test drive that car. You try on those clothes in your mind. And when you use it as a tool, magic can happen in the world. It literally can. I've seen so many things in my personal life where you're like, whoa, how did that even, like, I can't believe that just happened. Just from sitting there on a daily basis. And then we have to understand that as law of attraction, we are also manifesting the negative stuff in our life. So if you're having a sustained bad thought of like why your life is so down, you have to kind of check into yourself. And a good way of doing that is to ask yourself how you're feeling in that present moment, what your emotions are. Like, just like ask yourself, how am I feeling? And so a few months ago, I felt really, really depressed, so down. I was like, life, literally, I had so many injuries going on. I was in so much pain. And then I just suddenly checked in. I was like, oh, what am I doing in my mind? And you often get sidetracked when a storm comes in like that. You don't realise that you could possibly be manifesting it yourself. And most likely you are. Like for me, when I'm in that zone and I'm complaining about life, and I'm kind of see one of my friends go, oh, that, like, some driver pulled out on me, and there's like, what idiot, and you kind of like this road rage thing to like going on, and anything like you're complaining, because like when you're saying that, even just saying it, then I feel my body getting annoyed, and then I can feel like my eyes started frowning, and then that is sending out a frequency, because you're suddenly on this different waveform. So for me, by checking in on my mind, it's like, oh, hang on, I'm kind of thinking negative thoughts, I'm vocalizing negative words. So I thought, right, maybe I'm just going to flip this on the head and start thinking good thoughts, thinking what am I grateful for, like writing a list, writing down what you're grateful for, and then just then you suddenly start seeing the joy in life coming back. And there's so much joy around us on a daily basis all the time, but sometimes we don't see it if we're just looking for the bad all the time. And if you look for the bad, you're going to see the bad, and you're going to bring the bad to you. You're going to amplify it. But if you intentionally seek and manifest what you desire, how you want to feel, if you want to feel happy and joyful, like I feel happy now because I've intentionally switched the switch internally to kind of think, right, life has been really chaotic. Let's do something about it and switch it.
What are you manifesting now for the next month or so?
I'd say time. Focusing my energy on the things that matter, what my inner child wants to do.
Eat sweets.
Eat sweets.
And watch cartoons.
Yeah.
While holding an action figure.
While holding an action figure. But I can't really eat sweets because they give me ulcers, and ulcers really wind me up because they can last for a couple of months. And that's really painful for me, and that can really, put me in a bad mood. So my version of sweets now, love grapes. I love grapes. That's kind of homemade ice cream is a beautiful thing.
Nice.
Just kind of frozen berries, nuts blended with a bit of milk, and you suddenly got yourself a nice kind of ice cream there.
I'll have to give that a try.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah, I'm definitely. I feel I'm so close on this project I've been building, my music project, that I kind of, I'm really going to manifest taking that to the stage, and manifest singing while playing the guitar and launching all the synths at the same time. It's a complex thing to do, but it's there. All I need to do now is just write the music in the studio and take it to the stage. Yeah, so I'm seeing myself performing to the standard that I want to perform at, giving it my best, relaxed, happy, where the inner child is eating the sweets of
Grapes.
Sound. Yes.
Okay, sweets of sound.
Sweets of sound. And just being playful for it and enjoying it, because that's what it's all about, there to have fun and enjoy it. Yeah, so I'm manifesting some good gigs where the crowd are loving it and everything's just going smoothly and it's a great show.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.